How are you? Okay, let me see if I got this right. Okay. What's this? Okay. So I'm just waiting for people to come. When Venus, I think I saw you say you're here. Were you able to watch episodes 1 and 2? I have some notes on episode 1, retouch on. I don't know if I need to be retouched. I don't know if I need to be retouched. Let's the microphone off. All right, so I'm just going to start talking. I uploaded a video on a social that I'm going to be doing for Valentine's Day. It's an afternoon social for single men and women who are 50 and older. I haven't solidified the location yet, but it is Valentine's Day. Well, Valentine's is on a Friday, so Saturday, February 15th from 1 to 4, so that people who want to attend my event can do so. And then if they have a date or someone they would like to spend Valentine's evening with, they can in the evening. So my event is from 1 to 4. I see one person here, so I'm not sure if that one person is me or someone else. So I'm going to assume it's me because no one has said hello. If you're here, say hello. And it's going to take place in Atlanta. Turquoise, hi! Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Okay, so I'll start over. I'm going to do a social for singles who are 50 and above in Atlanta. So turquoise blue, if you are in Atlanta or around the Atlanta area, maybe you can drive in for a little weekend trip to visit with your girlfriend. But it's a social for men and women over age 50. I haven't solidified the location yet. It is Valentine's Day. Well, Saturday, February 15th from 1 to 4. It's a day event, so you'll have your evenings free if you made plans to be with someone during that time. There is a catch. I'm asking everyone who attends. I see we have 3 people. Yay. So say hello. Let me know who you are. So there's a catch. The catch is that if you bring someone of the opposite gender, bring someone of the opposite gender who is single and unattached. Keywords: single and unattached. Because this is an event, I really want people to connect with each other. And usually what happens is that there's a bunch of women show up at an event, very little men, and a lot of us spend the time sitting around wondering why we even came to the event. So if everybody brings someone of the opposite gender, there should be ideally an equal number of men and an equal number of women. And at the end of it, everyone will leave with at least one telephone number of someone they connected with. That's what I'm hoping. Okay, so let's get into it. You're here because of the later. Is that a smile or crying? I can't really tell, but I hope it's a good thing. I hope it's a good thing. So we're here because we want to talk about the later daters. And I took some notes because this was good. I've watched all 8 episodes. I binge watched them when I was in Austin, Texas with my 33-year-old nephew, and we discussed them as well. So I binge watched it there, and that was Sunday, last Sunday. And then I am watching the videos again, and this time with notes. So turquoise, did you see the Later Daters, episodes 1 and 2. I'll wait for your response. So I had 3 people, now I only have 1. So now I'm wondering if that 1 is me or that 1 is you, Turquoise. Now I have 2. You only saw, okay, so we'll start there. What did you think? What did you think about it? So I thought, I'm looking at my notes. So everybody is different, right? So Pam is the oldest at 70, and Nate is the youngest at 56, and everybody else is in between. And Lori, the oldest woman, I felt kind of bad for. So much to say. First off, everyone has beautiful homes. Right. So that automatically says that there's a certain income level that each and every one of them met. So I'm thinking that may have been a requirement from production or the makers of the film or whoever's in charge, maybe Michelle, because she's the executive producer. You know, she was a high earning lawyer. Her husband was the former president. So they automatically went into a different social bracket, a different income bracket. I think they might be multimillionaires now. By now, you know, book deals, speaking engagements where you can they can request 6 figures or more. So all of that. So they were catapulted into a different social class and environment. So yes, everybody has beautiful homes. I want to be a contestant, and I was thinking, I live in 990 square feet. I might not be able to get on there. So, yes. So, everybody has nice homes. True. So, everybody's in a certain income bracket. The question becomes, were there blind dates in the same income bracket? Were there blind dates in the same income bracket? We don't know. So, Pam lives somewhere out in the rural part of Atlanta. She has probably an acre or a couple of acres. One of her ex-husbands was a award-winning singer, and I think he may have known the Beatles. So she probably lives on a couple of acres of land somewhere. And I'm just going to go down the list of who we saw. Lori, she was the one with the big glasses. She was 57. She was the only one that had short gray hair. And then there was Suzanne, who was 62. No, Suzanne was 63. She had long gray hair, which I felt like this is just for entertainment purposes. Entertainment purposes. This is not meant to shame anyone or anything like that. This is for entertainment purposes. So I thought her gray hair made her look older. I didn't see Lori's introduction yet. She comes in episode 2. Lori. Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. So, Suzanne had long white hair, which I thought made her look older, but her spirit was very youthful. Like, I felt she had the most youthful spirit out of everybody. No worries. Talk about what you have seen. Oh, okay, good. Good. Thank you, Turquoise. So Lori was not Lori. Lori was the one with the short gray hair and the big black glasses. But Suzanne was the one with the gray hair. Her hair was really white and long, but it made her look older, but her spirit made her feel younger. She had a lot of confidence too. I like Suzanne's hair, and it was matches her personality. She is a firecracker. Yes, she is a firecracker. And she had a lot of confidence. Lots of confidence. Like when the men asked her, said they wanted to see her again, she didn't give them a yes, we can do it again response. She was like, well, I just kind of want to see, because she wanted to go on dates with other people. And maybe I didn't see anything wrong with saying, yes, I'd like to see you, but maybe if she said yes, then it wouldn't give her as many other, all the blind dates that they had scheduled for her. Who knows why she didn't, but maybe that's just her strategy. But most women, including myself, would have said, yes, of course, it's fun, it's that. But she's like, I'm not in a rush to do anything. I'll see. I will see. So I like that about her. Then there was Nate, 56, the black man, who had two daughters, married for 16 years. She's the philanthropist. Oh, ophthalmologist, exactly. She's the ophthalmologist. And Suzanne was the ophthalmologist, and she had her own practice. I got you, turquoise blue. I got you. So she had her own practice, which she said she started up again, restarted when her husband died of 27 years. And Logan, the dating coach, said that she is a rarity in that she married her soulmate and her one true love. And most people don't marry their true love. Most people don't marry their true love. And I was just amazed at the number of people, I'm amazed, period, the number of people who stay married past 20 years because it's a rarity these days in this demographic. You're 60 something and you got married in your 20s or your 30s and you're still married 30 years, 25, 30 years later. So Nate, Turquoise Blue, let me know if Nate is the one, if his ex-girlfriend shows up in this episode. Oh yes, his ex-girlfriend does show up in this episode. And this is just for, giggles and entertainment purposes, but I think he still got something going on with her. And the reason why I say that, they were sitting really close, but maybe, the camera crew told them to sit close because, for the angle and, making a tight angle for the camera and things of that nature. So maybe that's why they were sitting close. But they were sitting close. Yes, Nate has a child from a college fling and his baby mama are best friends. Right. And so if you noticed in the first episode, she came into his place and he said something. She said something. I can't remember who said what, but she said, "Oh, I like the way you decorate. I come over here to get inspiration." And she walks into the house and he's following behind her and his eyes go down. So I'm thinking he's looking at her buttocks. You have to look at that part, but it's in episode 1. He's looking at her buttocks, and it looks like he's looking at his buttocks. And I'll say, okay, I'm convinced he does her when he feels like it. Like they have this arrangement or agreement. Nothing is happening here. When I get somebody stable or close or whatever, all bets are off between us. They have that thing going on. That's what I think. I could be dead wrong, but that's what I think. So one of the techniques that Logan, the dating coach, gave was in media res, in media res, or something like that. It's probably a Latin term. But yeah, you agree, huh? Yes. So a dating technique that the coach gave was called in media res, in media res. It's probably Latin and I'm butchering it, but it's okay. And in the middle of things. That's what she said it meant, in the middle of things. And so she said that you use that technique to kind of minimize the small talk, like where you grew up and how long have you been here and how many children do you have and how long were you married and why did they break up and all that kind of stuff. So in the middle of things, you will say something like what she suggested. I was on the way here, I was listening to a podcast and da 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 da, to break the ice, minimize small talk, and really, dive into trying to make an emotional connection with a person. And I thought that was a really good technique that I'm going to try. So, turquoise blue, where do you live? Where do you live? Do you live in the Atlanta area or another state or a nearby state to Georgia? So, I want to talk about Miss Anise. Miss Anise. No, not far from you. So come to the event. Did you hear about the event that I'm going to give Valentine's weekend? I'll share it with you again. The reason I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I've been on this journey for since 2021. So 3 years now, going on into four. And one of the things that I've noticed is that it's just not working for me on the dating apps. And of course, I know one person who got married, a woman who got married by using, yes, I caught the announcement about the event. Okay, so I won't go through it again. Anyway, um, okay, so I'll continue on with what I have with the people. A niece, the black woman with the long hair, her first date, and George. George cracked me up. I love George. I love George because he keeps it 100, as they say. George keeps it real. And yes, Anise is a fox. She is a fox, but she was maybe a little foxy, too foxy for the date. It was an afternoon date. Yeah, it was an afternoon date, so I think she was just a little bit too out there for the date. But George called it like he saw it. George called it. That man was horrible. He was, but I liked him. I wouldn't go on a date with him. And I probably would have done what she did. Not probably. I would have done what she did. She just politely got up and cut the date short. But he called it like he saw it. I thought she was overdressed, overexposed. It was a day date. It wasn't going out at night anywhere. And she's a good looking woman. No shade or anything. And this is just for entertainment purposes. But she was overdressed. She dresses like she's 32 instead of 62. And I get women who are really in shape and older or more mature. They want to show off their hard work. There's nothing wrong with it. But even Nicole Murphy knows a time and a place to be going all out like that. And Nicole Murphy is one of my style role models. So I just thought she was overdressed and overexposed, and George was just calling it as he saw it. He wasn't, I don't say he was right, but I love the way he just said what he felt and he didn't filter it. And I really feel like Anise, it was like the more he drank, the more he started to show his true points. Oh man, turquoise, that's funny. You said his pork eating self. He might have been on the verge of being an alcoholic. Who knows? Or he could just, take pleasure in making somebody feel embarrassed or bad. But Anise handled it like a true woman with class and dignity. She's like, I can't believe you're saying this to me. And men who do that, they just want to break down the woman that they're dating because they have their own little issues of insecurity and, who does she think she is? And sometimes I get those looks from men too, like, who do you think you are? You don't look all that good, and, that kind of stuff. So I think he was trying to do that too. And he might be a little comedian. I thought he tried to humble and neg her because she told him she had her doctorate. His expression changed when she told him she was a doctor. Yeah, yep. So neg her, yep. Break her down, think she wasn't all of that great. But one of the things that I thought, and maybe it's the way they edit the movie, the film too, the editing, is that she was always asking. She asked each and every her blind dates. All of these dates are blind, by the way. All of these dates are blind. She kept bringing up, "Have you dated a older woman before?" And about her education. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what I've learned through dating is like just let it come up naturally. And the guy I broke up with recently, well, not so recent, that I was in a relationship with, I didn't tell him my age until like 3 or 4 months in, but he kept asking. So the reason why I wouldn't tell him because he kept asking, so that meant it meant something. And I was just holding off just because until I was ready to tell how old I am. And I never asked him, "Well, how old do you think I am?" Or maybe I did. I can't remember. But, he kept asking me, and I felt like, well, if you keep asking me, then it must be that important to you, my age. You don't date women my age. What is it? And I'm not sure if I even asked those questions because I feel like the more confident the woman is, the more the man wants to find something that she doesn't feel so good about regarding herself and then kind of slowly hone in on that to try to cut her self esteem down or find something to be able to control her with just a little bit. That's what I think. And so I felt like she was leading with that too much. And they kept showing her talking about, "Have you dated an older woman before? I have a master's or doctorate of this and of that and this and of that." And it made it seem like she was leading with those things. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with revealing that to men, but leading with it, they get turned off by it. So that's Anise. And then her dressing, her style of dress, it's almost if they're like Hollywood. Logan told Anise to tell men about her education. He said she used to hide it. I understand that. I'm not saying don't tell them at all. I'm just saying don't say it on the first date or anything like that because she talks about they get intimidated by that. So as I'm just saying you don't have to hide it. Be strategic about it. You're saying not exactly. Don't lead with it. It's like, well, what do you do? Well, I got my doctorates and da da da. After you tell them your name and maybe where you were born or whatever, you just say, "Oh, I just got some education." I just got some education. And then you can do it. She's very proud of it, and she should be because maybe it's in episode 2. She was like, "Oh, yes, I did." She was doing that. I think it's episode 2 because she goes out with Nate. And so she's like, "Oh, yes." And he wanted an educated woman, and he was okay with it, but he's not as active as she is. So there's so many things that go into this dating thing. But I just felt like she was leading with it. So don't lead with it and you're not hiding it. You're just waiting for appropriate opportunity to bring it up. And if a man is just meeting you and you don't really know his status, his financial status, why say all of that when you're not really sure where he is on the hierarchy of finances? He could be way beneath you. And now you've already, revealed your hand that you got a lot of money and now he's trying to figure out how he can get some of it or something like that. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying, just leading with it. And with Anise and George, I just felt like she was overdressed for, for lunch. It looked like it was in the daytime. And so he saw her in a certain kind of way as a lay. And really, that's the way men see us, how we're dressed. If they like what we look when we first meet them, and we're dressed that way on the first date, they're thinking sex. It's like she's leading with her body, she's leading with sexuality. So I want to do her as soon as possible. And as an older, more mature woman at 62 who can rock that look, no shade, who can rock that look, it's just sending a different message to a man that you're looking more for a good time than for a committed relationship, which she says she's looking for a committed relationship and that she would like to be in love and she would like to be married. But there's a time and place for that look. Enough said. Now, something else the dating coach said that I thought was really good is she said that when you're dating later in life as a mature woman, I take that back, go back sooner. She said when you're dating and marrying in your 20s, it's like building a company together. And so you just graduated college or a few years out of college, you meet your man, your boyfriend, you date, you get married, and then you talk about your plans and your future before you get married. And so you're building a company. So you're a startup. That's what she said. You're a startup. And then when you meet someone and you come together, it's more of a merging of two separate companies. So it gets to be a little bit more challenging because you're a separate company, they're a separate company, and then you have to merge things together. And so I used to work in the legal field. I wasn't an attorney, so I won't say that. I wasn't an attorney, but I did work in mergers and acquisitions at a particular law firm. And this was a corporate law firm. So it was just an unbelievable amount of paperwork. Unbelievable when one company wanted to buy another or merge with another company. Unbelievable amount of paperwork. So imagine two people coming as two separate companies coming together to merge into one. So you're coming together to merge. You're like this in the dating stage. You're coming together, you're like this in the dating stage. And then when you get married, then you're like that. And then you're becoming one, intertwined like this. It's not for the faint of heart. That's why men don't really want to do it, because once they've experienced it, they're like, I'm done. But I want to meet men who have not met the love of their lives, because that's what the dating coach says. She says it's rare. M&A is a good analogy. It was. It was. Mergers and acquisitions is a good analogy. So, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, so the dating coach Logan said that people rarely meet their soulmate or the big loves of their lives. They rarely meet them, and they rarely marry them, the big loves of their lives. So I want to meet a man who has not met or married the love of his life, and that I become the love of his life. And that he's been looking for his whole life, and that is okay with me. So Nate is extremely neat and clean. I thought I was neat, but he has me beat. He has me beat, I believe. He has me beat because I'm very neat, put things back. You don't see a pile of this over here and a pile of clothes over there, things on the floor. That's the way my mom taught me. She said, if you take off your clothes and put them up and where they're supposed to be, hamper, on a hanger, and you do that every time you take off your clothes, there will be no piles of clothes. Everything will be in its place. Cleaning will be much easier. And as a single person, I've always done that. And I've been single all my life. So that's what I do. And that's very, very helpful. What else? A friend of mine told me I have too much headspace right here. I just thought about that. So I'm going to lift this up right here. That's better. Yes. Okay, that's better. Halfway through the video, right? So anyway, Nate. So Logan said that Nate is presenting as a very buttoned up kind of guy. And Nate reminds me, it's like, after intimate relations, he'd be like ready to no snug, no snuggling with him or cuddling with him after intimate relations. He's ready to get up and take a shower, brush his teeth, and all of that. Again, this is for entertainment purposes. This is not to make anybody feel bad, but we're just having fun over here with this. Okay, he did say that for his first blind date, Latricia, she's 56 and he's 56. Both of them are 56. And he said that she was pretty with her long flowing hair, pretty smile. She's from Kingston, Jamaica, and she was in the army too, Bravo 92 or 62. So there were quite a few women who went into the military after high school, which I found interesting. And to be honest, I also thought of Nate seems like he has a lot of rules. Exactly. Nate has a lot of rules and real tight, like tightly wound. He reminds me of my brother in terms of his facial features. Very handsome guy, Nate. I thought it was very handsome with dimples. And my brother, I think he's in his 70s, so he has like all gray hair, but very facial shape and everything features are similar to Nate. So what I want to say about that, Nate thought that Latricia she had long natural hair. He said that she was pretty. So I read this somewhere many, many years ago. It was talking about, maybe I was in my 40s or 50s, and a woman was talking about aging. It was like an advice column, and it was a man who was giving the advice. And so she wrote in to say that she used to be pretty when she was younger, and now that she's getting older, she doesn't really feel that way anymore about herself. And so the man said that if you were pretty when you were in your 20s, then more than likely you'll be pretty when you are in your 50s or 60s. And so I thought of that advice, that statement that man made, that advice columnist made. And then I thought about what Nate said about Latricia being pretty. And I really believe that that is true. Now, whether you thought you were pretty when you were younger, that's a whole different statement. So it's not about whether you thought you were pretty, but whether others thought you were pretty. And so for me, I didn't think I was pretty when I was younger. But when I look at the pictures now, 40 years later or 50 years later, I was like, I don't know what in the world I was thinking. I don't know what in the world I was thinking, that I was not pretty, cute, or whatever. I did not think I looked all that hot. But now, when I look back, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what was wrong with you. But we all know what's wrong. It's our childhood, the environment we grew up in, all of that. And I must have been, kind of pretty because people were bullying me to death. Well, I shouldn't say to death, but they were bullying me a lot. So I figure there must have been something about me that people thought was pretty. And hair will do it for you too if you grew up in an urban area and you got hair down your back. And I've had that story told. I've told that story before. So moving on. So when they said that Latricia was pretty, external messaging changes how we feel about our looks. Exactly. So when Nate said Latricia was pretty, men think you're pretty if you take care of yourself throughout your life. Do you know what I'm saying? So if you're in the same age group, Nate is 56, Latricia is 56, he still thought she was pretty. Now, when he met with the next episode, Nate has a date with a niece. And if I'm not mistaken, he didn't really talk about her being pretty. He didn't. And maybe I missed it. So we're at the half hour mark on the video. This is 1 hour. So I'm going to go on to episode 2. Blue turquoise blue. Let me know if you want me. I think you said it's okay to go to episode 2. I'm just really confirming that it's okay to go to episode 2. I'll wait for you to respond. And there's someone else here. I think it's somebody else besides me and turquoise blue. Yes, please share. I will watch episode 2. Okay, good. Okay. So episode 2, um, there's a blind date between Anise, the fox, and Nate, the tightly wound one with the many rules. And Pam, she's 70 years old with this guy named Robert, who's 65. So Logan, the dating coach, goes to Pam, the 70-year-old's home. She does home visits with everyone. So she goes to the 70-year-old Pam's home, and she said her home felt like a shrine to the past because she had her first husband was a rock star, something or another. He got a gold album she has on the board on the wall. He knew John Lennon, the one of the Beatles. And so she must have had a really high luxury lifestyle at some point. And then she became a flight attendant for private jets. Like it's called NetJet. She said it's a private airplane company. So she was used to being the flight attendant for people who had very wealthy people. Okay. And so she kept making references to her past. And, you know, she didn't strike me as a woman with a whole lot of class about her. Like, she lives out there somewhere in rural Atlanta. And so she's a little rough around the edges. I should say that. She's a little rough around the edges, I think. And maybe it was just a character she was playing online, but she seemed just a little bit rough around the edges. Um, and we all can play a part. You know, like they say, code switch, like Black people are good at code switching. So maybe they just said she didn't have to do that. She can just be herself. And, you know, there's a different standard for the way Black people can act in public, which would be considered ratchet or ghetto. And when some of that is going on when you have a different skin color. That's all I'm going to say about that. So anyway, she seemed a little bit rough around the edges, but seemed very authentic, very genuine. And she had a date with Robert, somebody who was 65, and she wouldn't let Robert get a word in edgewise, and I found it very, very cringy that she wouldn't let Robert talk, nor did she ask Robert any questions about himself. So she would cut him off, and they said that, you know, it was because she was nervous. So, she just needs a little bit of work, and you know, you are who you are, so she just needs somebody who's accepting of that. And it seems like she could really, really be friendly and outgoing, and that she's open for new experiences, doing things that she hasn't done before. So I like that about her. And she was just really genuine. Like I really liked her. I really liked her. And Robert, her date, he seemed like he was a little bit of a conservative guy. He said he majored in economics in school, and I forgot what he did. But anytime he was asking her questions, and he finally, you know, called Pam out on it. He said, "You won't, you don't know anything about me. You didn't ask me any questions. And when I tried to talk, you always brought the conversation back to yourself." And then later off camera, when they interviewed Pam, she said that she does that when she gets nervous, that she just she does nervous talking. And, you know, I understand. I understand. But what we can take from that is that we show up on the date. We put a lot of time and effort into our appearance. Let the man, you know, soak that in, that he likes the way you look. He sees the care that you put into getting dressed and putting your outfit together. We don't have to be like the jokester. We don't have to be the star of the show. we can be the supporting character, the supporting actress, or whatever they call it in the movies. We can be the supporting person and letting him take the lead and letting him take control of the situation. And part of Pam's problem was that she didn't feel comfortable in the silence. She didn't feel comfortable in the silence. If you're going to date and date seriously, you must get used to being comfortable in silence. And if you're eating or drinking, you could take another sip, another fork of full of food, um, another bite out of whatever, chew slowly. And one of the things that I do when I'm on dates is I put my hand, one hand or both hands over my belly, right there, where the navel is, to remind myself to go slow. That awkward silence is so uncomfortable. It is, but get used to it, because once you become used to it, it's an opportunity for you to talk to yourself and your mind. It's a time to quiet your thoughts, tell yourself to breathe, tell yourself how beautiful you look, how you're enjoying the date, and you can also bring it back to the food and letting your date know that you enjoyed the food, and to talk about the flavors that you taste and in the food, and just be creative about the experience and focusing on the five senses of the day: the sight, the smells, the sounds, the touch, the taste. I think I named them all, of the food and the dates. Those are great recommendations. Thank you, Turquoise Blue. So yeah, so the more you do the silence, the more comfortable you will become in the silence. I wasn't comfortable either, but now I am, and it's like I welcome the silence. I really do. And talking slower too, that helps. Talking slower. So that's Pam and Robert, and who else? Yeah. Okay, so talking about Anise 62 and Nate, the black guy, button up guy at 56. Again, Anise brought up that she asking him if he had dated older women. I think she's leading with that. And also, she shared her education, which Nate wanted a woman who was educated. So that was good for him. But then Nate said that he was a homebody. Oh, so Anise said that she's been on the dating apps and she's not there anymore. But when the man's profile says that he's a homebody, she keeps swiping because she knows it's not a good match. And then she asked Nate if he was a homebody, and he said that he was, because of the injuries that he sustained when he was used to jump out of planes. He jumped out and fell a certain way and broke his back and his legs, or a leg. A really, really, horrific injury. So that has curtailed him doing that. And so he said that he doesn't do that. And he tried to recover by saying that she looked so good that she could make a homebody want to go out. And so she automatically wrote him off. And he previously used to write himself off from women because he didn't have that kind of mobility. Because back in the day, women 50s wasn't climbing Stone Mountain or any other mountain. They weren't hiking and going on bike trail rides as much as they're doing now. People are really trying to stay fit now. So he had a lot of TVs. That's true. He had a TV in every room. I think it was like five. Okay. It was even one of his closets. His walk in closet had a TV. So, but he goes to the gym. So he is into fitness. And she said he's tall. So, but she automatically wrote him off. And I think he tried to recover. I wrote here, he said that any man would want to, go out and not be a homebody anymore because of how good she looked. But she didn't give him a chance. She just automatically wrote him off. And then he automatically wrote her off because she was too old for him. He said, I wouldn't pursue her long term. Those were his exact words. He said, I would not pursue her long term. So he'd sleep with her. He'll go on some dates with her. He'll kiss her, feel up all over her, but he would not pursue her long term because he's not interested in anybody at 62. And I don't blame him for that. I wouldn't be interested in anybody who's 56 because I'm looking for a long-term committed relationship that leads to marriage. And most men that I meet at 56 and they're in good shape and condition look like him, meaning they dress well. That age group that Nate is in, they dress like that when they date younger women. When they date women their age, they may dress a little bit like that, but more than likely they're not in the gym that much. So that type of suit style that Nate had on would not fit them because their bellies would be too big and they would probably be wearing more like double-breasted suits, which are not in fashion at the moment. Not that much. And their pants leg would be wider than what Nate's pants leg was. It wasn't a skinny jean, it wasn't a wide jean, but somewhere in the middle. Now he looked good in his clothes now. Looked like he might have them professionally tailored for him, but he looked good. But he said he wouldn't pursue a niece long term, but she'd be like a good time thing, like George said about her too. So I feel Nate was saying something similar to what George said in his very rude, crass way, but Nate said the same thing or something similar in a very sophisticated, classy way. I wouldn't pursue her long term. All right. And another thing that I think mature women do that might be a mistake, I think, is expecting chemistry right away, like on the first date. Sometimes you'll get that on the first date, but then you have to be careful because you don't want to end up being a statistic in terms of sleeping with him too soon. But sometimes chemistry can build. Like you like the person and because of the way they treat you, that they really like you, they're acting like they really like you, not desperate for you or anything like that, but just a natural progression. Sometimes chemistry can build. That happened with me and my ex. He wasn't what I would call my physical type, but I'm a mature woman. I'm beyond being just attracted to physical looks. He wasn't my physical type. He was short, like 5'8". I'm not really into tall men. If he's tall, fine, but like 5'10", 5'11" is good. But he was like 5'8", maybe 5'8". He could have been 5'7". But he treated me like he really liked me. He cared about my feelings. He was checking in on my feelings, like, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? I respected his leadership, but he didn't want to get married. So I let it go because we're not a match if you don't see marriage in the near future with me. It's been a year. We agreed on a year. What more do you want? We've gone through marital counseling classes. No red flags. What? That just means that I'm not for you. I'm not what you're looking for. I'm not what you want. No, we cannot be friends. No, I don't want to be your friend. I'm not angry with you or anything. You just don't get access to me anymore, period, point blank. Because apparently you don't want to marry me, but you like the conversations that I have. You like the way I make you feel when we talk. You like the fact that I listen to you. These are all assets besides just our bodies and what we can offer or just our looks. It's how do we make the man feel? And if you make him feel good, without intimate relations, you're just a good energy person and he wants to sap it all out of you and take and take and take, but he doesn't want to give you what you want. It's a wrap for me. It's a wrap. So that's the way I feel about it. So anyway, what else? Oh, so we don't give it a chance for chemistry to build. Like the man I met that I was in a 1-year relationship with, right away there was really no chemistry for me. But as I talked to him and the way he treated me, and I be I began to have feelings for him, and the hormones and the dopamine and the oxytocin or whatever those feel good hormones started to kick in, and it was on. Now, when I say on, meaning I became open. My chemistry be, began to build for him and with him. But I still didn't, take it to the next level and have intimate relations with him, because I knew what the bigger goal was for me, marriage. And I knew that if I did that, it was going to be a wrap. Then I would be chemically bonded to him, emotionally bonded to him. And when I needed to walk away, it was going to be three times as more difficult to do so. And I was in it for the long haul, for the long game, for the stretch, for the goal to be achieved with this man. And he didn't want to, I forgot the football terminology, but he didn't want to take the pass and go on down to the goal and cross the finish line with it. And I wasn't about to go that route. I said, we have 7 people in. You want to let me know who you are? And yeah, so I think we got 8 more minutes here. So I think that's where women rule out. I recommend 3 dates with the same guy or same men. I recommend 3 dates and really be open to chemistry coming later. And I'm not saying forced chemistry. I'm not saying forced chemistry. But sometimes, as mature women, we don't get the same number of men knocking at our door to go on dates with us. Some of us do, a lot of us don't. And so we can close a door on someone who, if we gave 3 dates to, we could take it one date at a time and discover that they like us so much, that we have so much in common, that you like them so much that you're willing to go on date number 4 with them and see where that goes, and 5 and 6 and 7. And then, if at 3 dates you absolutely don't have chemistry and you don't want to even like take it no further, okay. But to say I have no chemistry on the first date, I think we may be selling ourselves short. But I really think 3 dates, we owe it to ourselves to just give the man 3 dates, if he asks, of course, and then call it quits if we feel like there's no chemistry and there's no possibility of there ever being any chemistry, because you can't fake chemistry. And like the dating coach said, she can't control date chemistry. She cannot control the chemistry between 2 people, but she can give you techniques and to make yourself more open and more vulnerable to others that you meet. So that's it for me with episode 2. I'm just looking over my notes to see, how about if I can look at my notes like that without having my head down? Yes, so that's it for episode 2. And episode 1, I'm looking forward to it. I would love to be a contestant on the next season, which they're probably filming now and already. And my nephew is in, I think this is another video, but I'll use the next couple of minutes to talk about my experience with my 33-year-old nephew when I went to see him in Austin, Texas last weekend. And we went to a nightclub. Of course, he's 33, so all his age group. And I knew I was probably the oldest person there. Nobody would ask me to dance, which was fine because I'll dance by myself, which I did do. I danced by myself. But to see the women respond to him was like eye-opening. Eye-opening. So my nephew is 6'1". He is very handsome. Slim build, you can tell he works out. He had on those, not the skinny jeans, but some slim fitting pants. He's slim build. You can see his muscles in his clothes, like in his jeans and stuff. He had on a turtleneck, a pea coat. If you my age, you know what a pea coat is, but one of those short coats, 3/4 length coats. He has a full beard, and he has we call it a Caesar. His hair texture is similar to mine, so it kind of lays down and got them triple and dipple layers all over it, and he got this beard. So when we walk in, I'm behind him now, deliberately behind him, because I want to see how women respond, because these women are in his age group and younger, like in their 20s and 30s. So I'm deliberately behind him, and when he walks into the place, the main room where people are, the bar and all that kind of stuff, women are looking, and like, they're not even being cool about it that they find him attractive. They're not even being cool about it. They are like, and giving eye contact to their girlfriends that they're sitting with, like, look at him. And then I watch the women initiate conversation with him. He's just like, I told him he found a place for me up on the balcony to sit, and he walked me up there, and I said, have fun, do what you do. Don't worry about me. You don't have to babysit me. He was like, okay. So he went back to the lower level, went to get him a drink. I think he got me some water, because I don't drink. He just got me some water. And I'm watching the women. It's like they're creating conversation with him. They're stopping him. I'm like, he's just like standing there, and the women that are standing there, they're talking to him. I'm like, man, this is sad. This is so sad. He introduced me to two of his girlfriends, meaning women who are friends, two of them. And it was all over their faces. I said to him after they left, I said, they like you. I said, both of them like you. I could tell it. I said, it's written all over their faces. And he said, I know. So he knows that he doesn't have to do too much. First of all, it's not many tall men, and it's not many tall 6'1" guys who has a slim build. He's also like a video. He does videos as well. He does commercials, like corporate commercials. I haven't seen him in any like consumer like product like Pepsi. I haven't seen him in those commercials, but I think he does those like training videos. He did his first big music video that I'm aware of. It's his first big music video he did. So when you're that tall and that good looking, where even my friends in their 60s and 50s say he's handsome, as mature women, we think he's handsome. So imagine the women who are 30 years younger. So he knows he doesn't really have to do much. He doesn't have to do much because women won't let him. They won't let him, and he will go after, I guess, the women that he really wants. But those that he doesn't really aren't really attracted to, and he would want to expend the energy to get to know or to pursue, he doesn't have to, because he has these women where he doesn't have to do that with. They're in his rotation. They seem to be okay with being in his rotation. He tells me everybody knows that they're in the rotation, and he is in their rotation. He is in their rotation as well, which makes me sad for those women, because what it is a setup for when they get into their 50s and 60s. They have such low expectations of themselves and their dating prospects. So they're already been trained to chase the man, to pursue the man, and especially if he's good looking, they gotta pursue him. I don't want no man who looks like my nephew. Not one. When I was in my 20s, yes. So I guess that's normal in your 20s, but I want no man who looks like my nephew. A man who looks like my nephew, who's my age, is not looking at another woman who's in his age group. He's looking for somebody younger that he can run circles around. And he's probably not ready to settle down anytime soon, if ever. So that's the end of it for me. If you like what I've discussed, please like, share, click on the notification bell, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and what else? I have journals on Amazon, some products down below. I'm giving a Valentine's Day meet and greet for men and women over 50. All I ask is that you bring someone of the opposite gender over 50 who is single and unattached so that we'll have an equal number of men and women and we can have fun and get to know each other and exchange numbers and go from there. Thank you, thank you. Bye, do blue turquoise, turquoise blue. Thank you so much for showing up, and for all of the other 3 or 4 people out there, thank you. We have 4 people, only 1 person liked this video, so please hit the like button. Please hit the like button and share the video. And what else? I think that's it. I will see you in the next video. Bye.